everyone, how you doing? Coming live from the clubhouse today. Had a pretty fun day. We had the 1 million cups kind of event here. If you're in the Augusta area, I definitely recommend checking it out. Even if you're not like an entrepreneur or starting a business, which I mean, it's pretty hard to do that stuff. But even if you're not into any of that stuff, if you come here for the 1 million cups, it's a cool event that we had here. This morning we have it every single Wednesday, first of the month, first Wednesday of every month. We have 1 million cups from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and a bunch of local business owners. So like these are people who have real businesses, from guys who have donut shops to people who are running full-blown dev shops. There are people here who are coming in and talking about local business. So it's cool. Like today we had some people come in and I learned a lot about a guy who's basically running his own, I guess you call it, software/marketing agency. He makes websites for small businesses. It's like his niche. And there's a lot of helpful feedback that people gave him on his business that I could probably apply directly to my situation. So it was a pretty cool event. I definitely recommend if you are in Augusta, or even if you're like an hour away from Augusta, definitely come and check it out because it's a good way to network with people and see what it takes for real businesses to work. Personally, I'm like really amazed when someone says they actually started a company, but then more often than not, I'm really dumbfounded when I find out that they don't, it's not a real company. Like they're either into it too quick, or they're overconfident, or they've not over. Usually, it's not that they've overthought their business; it's that they've underthought their business. Like I'm blown away by people who are like, I'm starting this company that is super manufacturing intensive, involves tons of logistics, requires a huge reputation to be able to pull off, and they're like, "Yep, I'm gonna do it." Okay. Oh, you're gonna start like a huge manufacturing company to make like tractors? Do you even know how much it costs to make a tractor? Do you know any engineers now that you want to make your own tractor? Like, I've seen some pretty insane business ideas, and I think one of the things I've learned from coming to this 1 million cups meetup is that you got to be super patient, and that it's okay if you're not a leader right from the get-go. Like, it's okay. It's probably better. Maybe you should follow someone who's really successful for a little while and kind of figure out what they're doing. I'm personally not really. I could see how it could happen. I'm not interested in starting my own business. I could see how it could happen. I just think that right now our society is kind of going through a phase of entrepreneurship heaven. People are like, "Oh yeah, I'm starting a business." I mean, like, look at all these people who are becoming famous, like a repeat of the 1990s. Remember, if you look back at the end of the 1990s, tech was booming and there were like motivational speakers, motivational videos, because VHS was becoming really popular and people were watching these videos and they're like, my life's gonna change because I'm gonna watch a freaking Tony Robbins movie. And yeah, that happened to a lot of people. A lot of people bought into that, and like Tony Robbins, like people who are like motivational speakers, like everyone here knows that I really am a very big supporter of Gary Vaynerchuk. I think that he's a cool person. I think that he's really misinterpreted by a lot of people, but he's given me practical, solid advice that I've applied to my life, and like I've literally applied it directly to my situation. I'm not expecting it to work, and it worked out very well for me. Like, he got me into trying to make my own YouTube channel. Really, I was like, yeah, that would be cool to like track the history of what I'm doing, because I've done some pretty complicated stuff. I mean, I've sold things on eBay. I've had eBay accounts since like 2010, but here's the thing. I've only sold things when it's like, I want to get rid of something. It's never been like, I'm going to go out and actively look for things and then sell them online. That was like a thing that I just saw him doing. My dad does it. But it's weird. Like, because he's my dad, I'm like, that's not cool. And so I followed, like, I knew it would work because my dad's been doing it. And like, he's been making tons of money off eBay. Like, he's always been doing it ever since it first came out. But I do think that there is just a huge wave of fake people who are like, they have zero skill, they have zero work ethic, and they are attracted to the internet guru lifestyle. And it's like, let's break it to you. If you really want to make a change, you're gonna have to change yourself, and it's not even have to be a big thing for you to do it. Like, you're gonna have to be like, okay, I just did that incredible thing that most people would do like once in their life, and then they're done, and I'm like, I'm not gonna. Like, you have to do that every day to own a business, seriously. And I mean, it's like programming. It comes down to programming. There's some people who are just like, oh yeah, I'll pick up programming, and it's like, you really need to be very intentional with what you're doing. Like, if you're going to go into programming, you had better have a plan for what you're going to do when it comes to programming. You had better want to be involved in that area. You had better be interested in that field. It better not just be, I hear they make money. Cool. You try it out. You're going to flop horribly. And it's going to be absolutely miserable because there's so many other things you could have done. Like maybe a hair salon or something that you're naturally talented at, and then like you need to learn the science behind it. Like, okay, get a hair salon, how do I get like a retail space? Okay, how do I get like my first customer? Can I like just try and like cut hair on the side for a little bit for free and see how good I am? Because you might find out that like you think you're really good at that, and if you try it out for free, guess what, there's no risk if you try it out for free. But if you like go out and you go buy a hair studio and all this stuff, you have no idea like whether your location supports that type of business. You have no idea if you are actually good at that thing. Whew, man, you could be in for a terrible nightmare of like possibly going to bankruptcy, like, losing money, and it's not a game. So I would recommend, if you are interested in doing stuff like that, then come to places like this and just listen. Just listen for like a year. Listen for 2 years. Apply the stuff without putting money into it, but just listen. It doesn't cost you anything to listen and try. If you think that trying means you got to go buy it, like you have to go buy something, you're wrong. I'll stop you right there. You're completely wrong. You don't need to go buy stuff. Because if you don't do that, if you refrain from buying things until you are making money off of the thing that you're trying to do, you're going to develop resourcefulness and you're going to become more self-reliant, and you actually might figure out something really valuable in the process. Like, when you go out and you go buy something, you're just a sucker for someone else. That's it. You're buying into something else. Maybe if you're going to have to be so damn resourceful because you're not buying something that you actually find value in something. So that should be exciting. But that's my rant on it. This is my rant because, like, you know, I just think about, like, I am at the point where, like, sure, I go on Craigslist and I can go on Upwork and I could do that as my full-time job, right? I do it enough. I make enough money. I do enough freelancing. I can do that as my full-time job. But I don't, because I know that you need to learn the basics before you start doing stuff like that. Like, if you really want to be good, because masters is the old saying, masters always win by knowing the basics. So like, people who tend to be really good at math, surprisingly, they're just really good at algebra. That's it. Like, they're really good at algebra. They don't need someone to hold their hand while they're walking through a math problem. They just kind of get it because they get algebra. People who are really, really good at anything, like, they learn the basic things that everyone else skipped over because they thought they were really simple and they didn't need to know it. Well, it turns out to be really good, you need like those one-off cases that you always skip. It's like working out. When you short yourself every time that you go for a run, say you're trying to run a mile, and you short yourself like, you know what, today I need to the block, I'm gonna stop. You are like just justifying that it's okay for you to be lazy mentally. You're making that mental justification that that's fine for you to be lazy. So if you're okay with that, what else are you going to be okay with? You can have like 5 donuts instead of just not even having, like, you shouldn't have a donut ever, but where's the self-control? Where does it start, you know? So I think that that's another characteristic of good business leaders. They have like impeccable self-control, and maybe they get that from being burned because they're like, okay, this time I'm actually gonna make sure the product works. I'm not gonna go out and just like put a thing out there and expect it to work. That's the wrong move all the time. I've seen it. I've seen people try and like say, "Oh, this thing's gonna be worth so much money. Go put it out." Beep. Nothing happens. Pretty tough to live with that. I would rather live with like having just tried something for free and finding out it didn't work than having my life be completely ruined and losing, burning friendships and ruining relationships with people, possibly physically hurting myself because I was too lazy to do a little bit of research in the beginning and I wanted to rush into things. Well, that's a pretty long talk there, Evan. But yeah, that's my take on that stuff. And what do I know? I don't have a business, but I'm pretty good at being self-disciplined, I think. So got that down. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much my rant for the day. I don't know if I can go on and talk more about stuff on this blog, but there's like one programming thing I want to talk about that I thought was pretty cool. I really want to talk about this algorithm called binary search. It's pretty interesting. So like the way that this works is a binary search. Like, this is such an interesting thing. It's a quick way to find a number that a friend guesses, and it happens to be a algorithm too. So say that you're given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we'll just go 7. The way that binary search works is it takes advantage of the fact that this list of things is sorted. So you want to guess a number. So guess a number. Let's say 4. Is it in the list? Is it in the list? The way that you can work through this algorithm is you take the list and you split it in half. So this really sucks because the way that it would work is I would have the maximum number in the list, which is 6, and the lowest number, or the maximum number in the list, which is 7. And the lowest number in the list, which is 1 minus 1, divided by 2, which is 3. So that's the index of the array that I started. So I start right here, 3. And then I check to see if 4 is greater than 3 or less than 3. Well, I know that 4 is greater than 3. So I shift everything over to this new, I want to see if I pick another. I shift everything over. I pick 3 as my low number now. So I pick 3 as my low number, and 7's still my high number. So I use 7 minus 3 divided by 2. This gives me 4, and I add that to 3. So 3 plus that, that equals 7. So that gives me this. All right, now I just check is 4 greater than 7 or is 4 less than 7. And it's less than 7. So we shift over and we now let 6 become the high. So 6 is the high. So now we get 6 minus 3 divided by 2 plus 3. And this gives us 6 minus 3 is about 4.5, right? Yeah, 4.5. Okay, so it's about 5. So that tells us that we're here. And I'll switch the color to a different thing. We're here, right? We're in this part of the array. And now we want to see 5 is going to be our new high. So 5 minus 3 divided by 2 plus 3. This is going to be 4. And now we see is 4 greater than 4 or 4 less than 4? Well, it's 4. So actually, that's the termination criteria. We just found out that that's the number. That's the way binary search works. It's a pretty cool algorithm, and I actually coded it up in C++. I've been really working on these algorithms and stuff, and I have quite a bit of time today, so I really would like to show you how I coded this. It's really beautiful. I used recursion, and the recursive function call is very beautiful, the way that this thing all came out. So let me go ahead and open this up. It's right here in test application. This is Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio. Visual Studio is a great tool for C++ programming and C#. It's a great IDE for that. So here is the binary search algorithm. It takes an int array, just like we did in the little drawing I made. We set the low and we set the high. So this would be the lowest, would be the first index, the 0th index of the array. The high would be the nth index of the array. So basically we go out to the end of the array. And then this is our number that we're guessing. Now, if there's going to be a problem if the low value is greater than the high. So if that happens, it just returns -1. That's an error. Like that's a bad base case right there. If that's the case, we're not using it correctly. And then all we do is we just repeat that middle. We find the middle of our new subarray every single time. And then the first check that we're going to check is we want to know if the number is the middle index. So if we can figure that out, then we just return whatever is at that middle index. And we're recursively checking that if statement that I wrote on the sketchboard there. So you want to know if the number is less than the index that we got from the middle. So like the, in our case, I think we started out, it was the 3rd index. Yeah, so the first one was it was 3. So you want to check that index, and then we just put that into binary search, and we recursively call this over and over and over again, because it's going to stop once we finally get that middle index. And it's pretty cool. So I made a little test program. This is a bunch of other recursive stuff that I coded, so just ignore any of that. But this is the array that I'm using, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this is a nifty way of finding out the size of an array. So I take the size of the array. An integer is 4 bytes, okay? So we have 4 bytes and 4 bytes. So this whole entire integer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 times 4 gives us 24. And so that's going to be, this is going to be 24. And then this is going to be 4. So it tells us that the size is actually 6. So I loop through all the elements, starting with the 0th element to print them out first to show the array. And then I pass in my array of numbers. I pass in the first index, and then I don't want to use the 6th index because arrays start at 0 in programming. All right, so I want to use that 5th index. That's actually the last element. That would be 6 here. And then the number that I'm guessing is 4. So if I run this, and there we go. Result from binary search is 4. Pretty quick, kind of cool. Well, so I hope you enjoyed my rant about starting a business, and maybe you found that binary search algorithm a little bit informative. I need to start breaking these up into 2 different videos, but enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye-bye.